All right, everyone. We are recording a very, very special episode of Nothing But Worry. Day one. Evening one of my vacation. 9-day vacation. Which they managed to fuck up yet again. I went in to last night. First thing to double check, was my vacation on the schedule? And sure enough, it was not. So I had to make a copy of my signed leave slip, approved, and tape it up to the schedule with a big arrow coming up going, I have this whole week off. Lord. So what do you say to that, Bonnie?
Same shit, different day.
Yes. So
I have to check your thing on Sunday or Monday to see if they've actually got you down as time off. Otherwise, you don't get paid.
well, I can get something done about that. So, anyway, 9 days off. Vacation. I got a lot of stuff planned. Big shindig Sunday afternoon, evening. With the big family.
Not so big anymore.
Well, the people that are coming over here, they would have been isolated from those people anyway. So.
Well, I mean, we don't have anything to do with the maggots anymore.
I'm not so hardline on this issue as Bonnie, but Bonnie wants to completely cut off my side of the family because they're all Republican Trump nuts, you know.
They voted for Trump knowing that Peter is on the Affordable Care Act and that Trump's going to overturn it. They voted against their own grandson's health.
When I was on my way to... I went out into some errands this afternoon, and I drove right by my dad's area, and I thought, I wish I could stop in there and talk to him, but I really don't have time.
Or the inclination, really.
No, I'd like to talk to him. I mean,
you know
I
what,
think
it devolves into housework.
Well,
How's them
there's a
kids?
bond of obligation that I feel.
Burn the bridges, burn the bridges.
Well, I hope our children have a bond of obligation to us if they stay in contact later.
No, I hope that they have a bond of friendship and kindness and human decency that extends to basically all of humanity. I can't stand to be around people who support a rapist, felon, homophobe, misogynist, criminal, con artist. We know how different your family is. Remember, your dad and Catherine shared a video of these people poking fun of this kid and making him cry. And we were mortified at the absolute cruelty of it. That's who they are.
Well, I know, and I'm not going to subject you to them.
No.
If I get a chance to see them on my own in some sort of controlled setting.
Yeah, but admit it, the last time you had time off, you didn't even want to see your dad then. He goes, I got the week off, let's go out to eat. And we know what that means.
I don't remember that at all.
Oh, I do, and you're like, I don't want to go anywhere with him. So you just ignored his request.
I don't remember that at all.
I do.
Oh.
I noticed you're actually remembering fewer things lately.
I'm sorry about that, but what are you talking about?
You're just forgetting more things, dear.
At
least we know it's not the brain worm.
I don't
like certain politicians.
I have no knowledge of what you're no knowledge of what you're talking about. All right, let me go over my list of shit for today's list. It says read to be ? Call my mother. Poems, meaning I have to write some poems this vacation. Gas, that's later this
Sunday.
Yeah. Haircut, Bonnie has to give me a haircut, but that's after the shindig on Sunday because I don't want my hair to be crazy looking.
Yeah, I'm sending Peter out again tomorrow to pick up more stuff for the shindig. It's basically going to be a giant charcuterie grazing table. And we're going to be eating off of it for the next week, too, by the way. It's my kind of nod to giving myself a vacation as well.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
But going into this, I'm going to make a pea salad, and I'm going to make the black bean soup.
Okay, let's go over that for a
And
second.
what?
Are you going to be making a potato salad?
No, I'm going to be roasting potatoes and roasting green beans and roasting Brussels sprouts.
Okay.
It'll be on the charcuterie board.
Are you going to be making anything like that, like maybe egg salad or those kinds of things?
No, I've defaulted to having just prepared dips from the store. And then cheeses and
So you must have a variety of
cheese
chips then.
A lot of crackers, not chips, just tortilla chips only. Salsas and cheeses, pickles, olives, nuts, a few sweets. Stephanie's bringing her specialty pound cake. What is it made of? Rum or something? And Reed's going to bring a huge batch of her triple cheese mac and cheese. So we're going to have small.
Have I tried that before?
bowls.
Have I had that before?
Yeah, she puts in like cheddar and some other type of cheese.
I'll give it a shot.
Then cream cheese and onion and green onions and other things.
Okay.
And I'm going to make my black bean soup, which I'm going to do it the night before. So it's going to thicken up so you can either have it as a stew or as a dip. But I'm going to try pea salad for the first time. I haven't done that before.
Well, I'm wary of this macaroni and cheese because the macaroni and cheese that Bonnie makes is really
The end all.
my favorite of all time. Yeah.
The end all of mac and cheese.
And it's so receptive to smoked paprika and cayenne pepper. It's just wonderful.
Oh, does it need flavor, dear? Flavor?
No, it needs heat. It needs bite. I want some food to bite me back.
How many times have I heard you, gotta put some flavor on my food? And I'm like, fuck you. I put spice and such in my food.
This is what I hear. I'm about to put some pepper on the food, right? And Bonnie goes, "You haven't even tasted it yet."
Well, you are a Philistine when it comes to that. He puts on this layer
Oh my God.
of paprika or a layer of cayenne or a layer of this Ching's garlic chutney that we have.
Szechuan chutney.
Szechuan chutney, sorry.
Oh, conspiracy theory time. Look at the center of the
Ching's
the Ching's logo. It's like a
profile of Donald hair.
It looks like a profile of Donald Trump in the center of the swoosh thing going around. I can't remember. Inzo is what they call it in Japanese.
Yeah, it's Chinese.
Right. But we get it at an Indian grocery store.
Yes, we do. Cheerians.
Have you ever seen it at Buford?
No, I haven't. We only saw it at the Cheerians at Gwinnett and the Cheerians at DeKalb.
See,
I can't find it at the Battelle Brothers either.
I can get us to the Cheerians in DeKalb just like that. But the other one, I have no idea where we were that day.
It's this little rabbit warren between Venture Boulevard or Avenue and Gwinnett Place Mall. Like where they have the big comics book store. Back behind there.
Oh.
It's some little rabbit warren
Okay.
is that other Cheerians. And it's nowhere near as large. And it's more pricey than the one in Decatur. But, in my opinion, they have a nicer hot bar. Because they have this dedicated area off to the side. It's like a little nook where you can sit back there and have your hot food. Though we always get it to go.
Yeah, onion pakoras and fresh made big fat samosas.
And those lentil donut things. And they have a wonderful coconut chutney. And a wonderful spicy mint coriander chutney.
Now, I'm going to put my foot down about something.
Oh, dear. Okay. Waiting for the foot to drop.
This week would be a great week to go to Madras Mantra, but you said we are on a budget, so I'm holding you to those words.
Yeah, we are. I've really gone overboard with this shindig. As usual, like I usually do when I host anything. And, yeah, we need to keep it curtailed. I remembered today when I was prepping the plans, I'm going to clear the middle butcher block table in the kitchen off and just do the whole layout on that table. And I remembered when Peter used to host the D&D games in high school, and I would clear at least half of the table off at that point. And one day would be like pizza day, and I have a variety of different pizzas and slices and sodas for the guys. One day was like hot nachos day with all the toppings, and you can microwave it or have it cold or whatever, or with hot dips. And then another time we did a ice cream bar. And I mean, this was for a bunch of teenage boys, but I just went overboard hosting.
Bonnie's motto is overkill. I have said this for years. It's just like,
I'm not arguing with you. You want to start something? Because I'm not starting anything over that. You're right. I mean, consider how much we packed when we went up to Gainesville for the weekend. Just to go to a cabin for a couple of days. 3 days.
Yeah.
I packed everything in the fucking world. We had options. We had a couple different pasta salads and several different options. 3 different options on burgers. Vegan vegetable burger things.
Oh, speaking of which.
And tons of chips. I had tons of alcohol and other things.
Speaking of which, in 1 week, the vacuum cleaner ceased to function and had to be replaced. And the microwave, same thing.
And 3 weeks ago, the oven went kaput. And we have had that oven fixed I don't know how many times. The last time I spent $275, I think, on it. It was a new motherboard for the thing. And then I had to pay the guy $95 to put it in. And this was during the fucking pandemic. So this was 4 years ago. So you know the prices of everything are up. So yeah, I went and bought the absolute worst possible oven I could find, apparently.
Well.
And the microwave, I paid slightly more than the last time I bought a microwave for.
And it's dinky.
And it's 2/3 the power, and it's dinky. But anything that's equivalent is now $200+. So, we've never recovered from the pandemic. And everything is shifting away from America as a powerhouse. And they are making stuff for all these other rising markets. So, there's this thing that I noticed when I worked overseas is there's an American market and there's other markets. And you would buy things in these other places and the quality was just not as good. And so you'd end up having to go to these expat stores. I remember going to this one expat store and buying corned beef and tinned caviar and some kind of tinned fish and champagne and something else, because everything that you could get was so shitty at that point. I wouldn't pay exorbitant prices for these things. But yeah, we've had the tide turned, and the stuff that's being imported into the U.S. from Vietnam, China, etc. is lesser quality, because they've got all these other markets they can sell to. The European Union, for example, a major economic powerhouse.
Yeah, you can sort of, if you think in terms of, I don't know, I don't want to say conspiracy, but you can sort of see the fix is in. It's like, well,
What are you talking about?
Trump takes over, tells Ukraine you're going to have to give them the territory they've already taken, and just like it, and then everything sort of settles down. Everybody goes, well, at least there's peace again,
So one of the things I heard this week, and I've yet to be able to chase down the sources, was something to the effect of Mexico is ramping up production, factories, etc., knowing that there's going to be more workforce coming back into Mexico. So they're going to have an economic boom or something? I still haven't, chased this down and followed it through the economic magazines yet. But that would be an interesting thought. The idea this week that they've been talking about for certain with the migration is if he does these mass removals, we're talking about removing tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people from the workforce who pick the food, the ag workers,
Look,
the people who do work that Americans will not or cannot do.
I want to be in a happy mood on this episode, so let's get away from that depressing shit.
Oh, okay. I've got a happy note.
Okay.
The numbers are finally tallying up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, seriously, this is a good thing.
This is not what I wanted. That direction I wanted to go in.
Trump has less than 50% of the vote. Kamala's within a point and a half of him. And the difference of that Trump has over Kamala is less than Hillary Clinton had over him in 2016. She had like 2.8, and he's got like 2.5 over Kamala. And Joe Biden had 7 million plus popular votes over Trump in 2020. And I just think that it's nice to see that, the gap is a lot smaller than these Republicans would have you think.
Well, anyway, I was going to say, you've been watching this show all this past week or two.
Okay.
Well, do you want to say anything about that?
No.
What are you reading lately? How about that?
Well, I started into the damn It Can't Happen Here. And it's really dated literature. And you have to... There's a certain mindset you have to take. And it doesn't flow in the same way that modern literature does.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that it's difficult to read, it's less accessible to read. It doesn't have a good feel. Remember watching 1970s and 1980s movies and cringing now? It's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Because the way the settings are described, even though within the first chapter, every single talking point of the Republicans is listed in the first chapter, and you can see how it's relevant to today. It's written in a way that you really wish could be modernized.
Okay. Now, who wrote that? Which one of them was it?
I want to say Sinclair Lewis.
Okay.
The one who did Elmer Gantry.
Yeah, well, see, when I was in the tear of reading his stuff, I don't know why, but I don't know which one I read first, but when I read Main Street and Babbitt sort of back to back, because they sort of go together, I was amazed at how, on the one hand, yeah, it was like sort of a dated voice, the way it's
very much so.
the way it's narrated and so forth. But on the other hand, I could sort of switch my brain into that mode, and once I did that, I really enjoyed it because it was so well plotted. Both those books.
Oh, I'm going to stick with it for sure.
Yeah, and Elmer Gantry is so
damning,
goddamn good when he has built up this mega church, okay, and this woman he had an affair or slept with or something in the past tries to blackmail him or something. So what, I can't remember what that resolution was, but he goes before the church audience or congregation, and he confesses everything in front of them, knowing full well that if he just makes a big show of his confession of what he's done and offering to sacrifice himself to their, outrage, that they will love him all the more. And of course, that's what happens. And it's just fucking brilliant because the same thing happens today.
Every single time.
And this is before television. This was written.
Oh, that reminds me, of course, of another modern day huckster. Jim and Tammy Faye.
Yeah.
Jim Baker, is that his name?
Hmm.
He tried to make a comeback a couple of years ago, especially during the pandemic, because there were all these people that were doing off the grid stuff, and so he had these gimmicks. He was selling all this crap. Buy this, it'll last you, blah blah blah. He was selling colloidal silver, the same stuff that the new Trump nominee Dr. Oz promoted on his show. And he's going to be in charge of Medicare and Medicaid. And this is a guy who's just a huckster in the same way that Jim Baker's a huckster.
I strongly suspect that the people who owned the private school that we went to had some sort of financial stake in their little Heritage USA was a Christian theme park or something.
Yeah.
Because the day the news came down that they were busted at what they called chapel at school, it was like assembly every single day for a sermon.
Indoctrination, dear.
The woman who was the wife of the guy who owned the school, she was sobbing her eyes out while she was sitting in front of us while her husband gave some speech about, I don't know, corruption or, sad day for America or something. I don't know what it was. So when I was sitting there, I was thinking, God, did they invest in the stupid thing and they lost big time? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. She was crying.
I wouldn't be surprised if they'd been selling shares. Remember, their school was started by supposedly selling shares, which they never honored, right?
No.
I thought that they went and
No.
out to everybody.
No. They asked for donations, sort of, and I'm sure that they
Maybe.
sold it as this is going to be a charitable enterprise, and no, it's a private business, and they're asking people to donate to the creation of a private business,
Which hid under the guise of a nonprofit.
Yeah. And that the two people who started the school, they owned a Christian bookstore in Athens for years, while he was also a preacher at some, I guess, very small church. And then when they realized that there's going to be a market for a private Christian school, that's what they did. They dropped everything and sunk their money into that.
And the reason there was a market for the private school was because of white flight.
That's right.
They did not like their kids going to school with black people. And Athens Academy was started during this time. George Walton Academy was started at this time. Athens Christian, of course, followed. And later on, Prince Avenue. Prince Avenue was less white flight, though. Prince Avenue was more of status.
Let me tell you a little story about that. When they started Prince Avenue Christian School, I guess maybe 10 years after Athens Christian started. And the ACS people were just so contemptuous of these upstarts that there were a couple of kids that transferred over to the Prince Avenue School, and then like the next year or something didn't like it and came back. Well, ACS refused to honor any of the work they'd put in at Prince Avenue and made them start over in the previous grade if they wanted to come back.
Which was really petty, considering
indeed.
that they were not properly accredited at the time. And to this day, they do not have SACS accreditation. They only have the state's minimal accreditation.
They were just hucksters, man.
They are hucksters.
Shoddy merchandise with their logo printed on it, they would sell,
I told you about going to English classes, and they would say, you need a copy of, we're selling it for $3.50. And my mother's husband go, oh, I can get that cheaper. And he'd go out and buy a copy for 50 cents or 75 cents. And they were so upset that I had not bought the copy. And I'm like, they're like, you can't follow along with the page numbers. I said, but I know the chapters.
What was this now? I didn't know. I've never heard this story before.
So we would have English class, and we would have to buy our own copies of things outside of the textbook. Like we had to buy Shakespeare's Romeo
Right. Okay.
and
Oh, I
Juliet,
see. Oh, I see. The
etc.
text to go along with your.
Yes.
Okay.
So when we were assigned to read chapters 1 through 3, skip 5 through 10 because there's questionable activity about sex and youth and teens or whatever. I swear to God, they did that. We didn't buy the books, and they had invested in them, and they were upset that we weren't going to spend the $3.50.
I'll tell you a story in a minute. Go ahead.
I'm finished.
Okay. Okay, there was one teacher over there that was like a shining beacon of rationality and aesthetic brightness over there. And anyway, he did some sort of, it must have been part of the public speaking class we had to take our last year there. But anyway, we all had to pick out some sort of dramatic monologue from some published play or something, and then perform it in front of the class solo.
With multiple voices.
So no.
Remus.
Well, anyway, I wanted to do. I can't remember the character's name, but in what's the Tennessee Williams play?
Cat on the Hot Tin Roof.
Cat on the Hot Tin Roof. When is it Elizabeth Taylor? Is this in that movie?
Yeah, she's the one.
When she comes in complaining that one of his nephews threw a buttered biscuit at her and got grease all over her dress or whatever, I wanted to do that monologue where she says something about his father is still an old wolf because he looks at my boobs and licks his lips. And
they wouldn't let you do it.
No, can't do that. No, but it's here in your selections, you know.
Well, the one that I chose, we had to do the reading from a text of 3 or more voices, and last minute I just chose Tales of Brer Rabbit, and one of the voices was the frogs. Knee deep, knee deep. That was me slacking off.
Oh, Lord. Well, we had some guest instructors come down, I guess from Bob Jones, to like a week's worth of little seminars with us about public speaking, I think it was.
Speechifying.
Yeah. And they made everybody say, the assignment was pick out a Bible verse, memorize it, and say it in front of the class. I think it was like when I was a junior, it was a juniors and seniors together.
Jesus wept.
A lot of people did that for like a joke, you know. But I did this verse out of, I think it was 1 Samuel. And what I got up and I said, and Samuel said, as thy sword hath made women childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. And he hewed Agag in pieces before the Lord in Gilgal. And everybody burst out laughing.
You should have done the one about how his emissions are like donkey emissions. You don't know this one? Yeah.
It's in the Bible?
It is in the fucking Bible. Talking about men's jazz.
You're kidding.
I am not. Look it up.
I never heard this before.
Yes.
I like the one.
That's one of the things they cite every time an atheist or a non-Christian challenges the Bible being in a required reading or required to be in a library or a school classroom now.
Oh, okay. Well, I think a similar one sort of. There's the one where the king they've laid siege to some town, and he mocks the people in the town. He says, fine, you'll be something about drink your own piss and eat your own dung.
Yeah. And lest we forget, the verses about the women and the children, the children and the women who have given birth, slay them, The virgins, take them for yourselves.
That's right. Keep the young girls who have not yet known a man for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
These
quite a few of
pants-
these damning things.
These pants are riding up in my crotch and
And no one needs to know
it's
that.
hurting my area.
No one needs to know that. Just shift and adjust. Do it off camera, okay?
They're just not good pants to sit down in.
Well, no need to discuss it, all right?
All right. I need to take a look at something while we
Oh, Lord.
talk.
Oh, I personally think that you should have done the verse about onanism, about not spilling your seed upon the floor.
Yeah, that's a
That was
good one.
another good one.
And he was cursed for this? For failure to impregnate his wife? I mean, what kind of shit is that?
And how about the whole, the way that you're supposed to be present when your husband impregnates a woman because you cannot have a child, but you need a handmaid?
Oh, I'm sure that's in there.
Oh, it's there.
I've been working on this book of poems for a while now.
Oh,
and
dear. Oh, dear God.
So I'm not going to subject you to them, but some, I mean, not here on the recording anyway. But some of these are pretty good.
What's the last poem you read?
Here? You mean wrote?
What's the last poem you read?
Oh, I have no idea. You mean somebody else's work or my own?
Someone else's.
It's been a while. About a month or two ago, I went on a poem reading tear, and the thing is, it's so hard to find exactly what I want to read in a poem, you know.
Yesterday, my friend Doug noted the 6th anniversary of his wife's death.
God.
It was a long, arduous process. She died over a period of several months, and he sent me emails every couple of days telling me what was going on. And she had gone from the small area where they live up in British Columbia down to LA to visit a friend. And she got sick on the flight. And she ended up in intensive care in Los Angeles. And when they finally got her stabilized, they flew her into Canada on a special flight. And then put her in one of the regional hospitals. It's about an hour from where Doug lives. He lives in a very remote area of British Columbia. And it took her several months to die. Her lungs just finally gave way like my sister's. And he noted that yesterday, and I remembered, and I pulled out a poem he'd written about grief, and it was absolutely beautiful, despite being absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah, I am not looking forward to the next maybe 7 years or so, because
Why?
both of my parents will be dying. My sister is packing up everything and dragging my mother out to Montana, and I'm telling you, she won't make it 2 years out there.
Yeah, there's sometimes
What was
the temperatures get down to like -20.
What was it you said? You had read something about the 3 or 4 or 5 most traumatic things that can happen to you in life.
The most traumatic things that can happen to you are divorce, death of a loved one, or moving house. Yeah, it's commonly cited. I hope to God we never have to move. I don't think I'd survive the fucking move.
Yeah, you know, it makes me wonder. You and I both had tumultuous teenage years and early 20s. But our kids just basically smooth sailing, except for some
It
illnesses.
helped that we also stayed put. Your family went through 4 or 5 houses, maybe more.
All within like a 10
And we
miles
moved numerous times.
radius.
And then when I was outside of my parents, I moved numerous times. At one point, reducing my life to 60 pounds in a bag that I put on an airplane. Our kids had a very stable upbringing. I mean, the most we did was move 20 feet away. I remember you getting a dolly and transporting the fridge
That's
and
right.
other things over here. One of the first things we brought into the house was a chair. Your mom had just upgraded, so we got these free chairs here.
Mm-hmm.
So we brought that one in.
These have been here the whole time?
These have been here, this brown set. Yeah, that chair and this matching sofa have been here the entire time. They brought that over, and that was the only thing to sit on for a couple of days in the house. And I was like, mine, mine, mine. I mean, outside of a bed.
Well,
but I remember walking over with drawers in my hand from the old house to this house with the stuff still folded up inside the drawers and placing it inside each of the units.
Well, when we moved over here, I gutted the entire main section of the place and used it to start storing my paintings in, and also some giant Rubbermaid buckets full of drawings and writing and stuff. And some of the kids' old toys are in those things too.
On our list for next week, we need to deal with the paperwork for the land deeds.
For what?
Land deeds.
Hold on a second.
Just put land deeds.
Okay.
And we also need to deal with taxes and addresses and change all that in relation to all the land deeds. I just went through and audited our account from the mortgage company, and they paid our city taxes last year, and I also paid our city taxes last year.
Okay.
So double payments.
Well, I know nothing about this and don't want to know anything about it.
Okay, dear. Mm-hmm. This is why I had a fucking Xanax.
Earlier this week at work, we had a downtime for a second, and we were talking about, I can't remember who Mitch and I were talking to, and something about money, and I said, I don't know anything about it, and Mitch was like, yeah, because he knows my reputation, like, he doesn't want to talk about money, doesn't want to know anything about it, doesn't want to know how much he's in debt.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out shit now.
And that's why Bonnie named this show Nothing But Worry.
Oh, yeah. I got to figure out a way to convince my doctor to give me 3 more Xanax for next year. 3 Xanax a year. You think it really lasts? It doesn't. That's why I fucking drink.
Oh, Lord.
Used to be I drink for pain. Lately, I've been drinking for stress.
That's not good, Bonnie. I'm telling you, you need to start meditating and doing some
Dude, it's
stretches.
Once a week. One drink a week, okay? I think I haven't gotten out of control yet.
Okay. Is this on a special day of the week?
Whenever I'm fucking stressed as hell.
Okay, so that's more than one time a week, isn't it?
It has to build up.
Okay. Oh my God, this tea is so bitter. When you sip it like that, usually I just gulp the whole goddamn cup down. Well, I was going to talk about some cultural crap, but I guess not.
What cultural crap?
Well, the CDs that I brought to work this week, and you know, what I've been reading lately and so forth. About 2 weeks ago, I formulated this idea that I wanted Bonnie to hear the entire White City album by Pete Townsend, but we just haven't had a chance to do it.
What's on it that I would know?
Oh, well, Face to Face is on it. Give Blood. I can't think of anything else at the moment, but
okay.
It's just a great record. Or my friend Richard had a copy of it on cassette in high school and was looking at it in the hallway, and I was like, well, "Who's that?" He goes, "Well, he was with the Who. They were a really great band." Like,
and your response was who?
Oh, it's just like, ooh, more music to get into, more bands to get into, you know.
Isn't that? Wasn't the Who? You went in and asked for one of their albums based on a
That's
lyric
right.
in a
That's
song?
right. I
Wanted
had
a Woke Street?
I had heard Baba O'Reilly on the radio, and I just assumed the name of the song was Teenage Wasteland. So I go to Ruthless Records in its original location, which was like in an old bank downtown, and I said, "Do you know this song, Teenage Wasteland?" He goes, "Well, the name of the song is Baba O'Reilly, and it's on the Who's Next record." And he pointed over to get it, and I got it on LP. That's how ancient I am. Came home and just loved that. Every goddamn song on that album is brilliant.
I didn't have a record player until I was in college. I had to buy my own. And
Really?
so anytime I got an album, I had to get it on the little, 33 thing?
You mean 45?
45 record. I had to get a single.
Single.
And I would have to go into my sister's room and get her little tiny toy record player. Yep. That's the only way
Really?
I was able to listen to records at my mother's house. My father, however, had proper stereo equipment, a real record player, real stereo speakers, you name it, and a customized case to hold all of his albums. So I got to listen to Boston's Boston album. I got to listen to Cat Stevens. I got to listen to all kinds of stuff, just Fleetwood Mac, you name it, on an album when I was coming up. But I had to be at my dad's.
We were very limited in what we had as a family when I was little, as far as music, recorded sound.
I had one of those clock radios with the alarm and AM FM button and a knob where you would turn the knob and the little red stick would move across, and then the time on it would flip over each of the numbers. And then later I got one with a digital red light display, LED kind of display on it. That's all I had growing up.
I miss some of my old clock, bedside clock things.
I won a couple of albums, and I was not allowed to go and get them from the radio station. One of them was Hot Girls by Donna Summer.
What? Because
Gee,
of the
that's trashy.
Oh my god,
that's trashy.
How old were you when this happened?
I have no idea. It's whenever it came out, and
You couldn't have been but maybe 13 or so.
I would get on the phone. I would call all the radio things, try to win stuff. I won during college.
Oh
I
my
won
God.
Pearl Jam
Oh
tickets
my
for the
God.
Legion Field. That was when Pearl Jam was basically fucking unknown. I won, I don't know how many tickets growing up, how many albums, and how many I had to pass up. Because
I
that
have a
bitch would go,
story
"You're not
for
gonna
you.
get that."
I have a story for you that you've never heard.
Oh, I doubt that.
Never ever heard. I used to hang out with my cousin in his
Bobby?
house over in Cedar Creek. Basically, when he got out of school every day, off the bus,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
we were listening
you
to
were a
the
couple years older, so you had a car.
Right. So we were over at his house, and he had the radio on, and it was a local station, and the guy asked a question. I have trivia question. What famous rock star? I guess he said was a paratrooper in the army. So I said, I know this. It was Jimi Hendrix. So I call and I get through, and he goes, "You wouldn't believe how many people are calling and singing Elvis." So anyway, I won 2 free dinners at Guthrie's. Remember Guthrie's?
Oh, God.
It was. Let me parenthetically tell you what Guthrie's was. It was on Baxter,
Yep.
sort of at the top of the hill, wasn't
It
it?
was right at the intersection, right down from the intersection of Milledge and Baxter. Yeah. It's where Canes is now.
Was it sort of catty corner to where China Boats was later?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Opposite side of the street, catty corner from it, closer to Milledge.
So I took my high school girlfriend there, who I was still seeing my first semester at UGA. And, okay, oh, I didn't see what the damn restaurant is. It was nothing but chicken strips and garlic toast and some kind of drink. And that was
And
it.
some kind of yellow sauce in a
And that's right,
container.
some kind of special magic sauce. Who knows what they make it with? Oh, it's a
And
mystery.
sweet tea. You gotta get sweet tea with that.
So anyway, and people
It was
flocked.
salty.
People
God, it was
flocked
salty.
in there like they were addicted to heroin, and
It was
I did not
fast
see what the
and
big
cheap.
goddamn deal was.
You could eat, you get a full meal for less than $5. It would come out hot.
They served
and the
only
tea-
one thing.
Yeah, and the tea was all one size. And it was large. And you put it on your $5 bill, and you were fed.
My recollection is that
Oh, they had fries on the side, too.
I think maybe you're right about that.
They
Yeah,
had fries on the side.
That may
but
be
if
true.
you wanted extra with the sauce, you had to
so
pay
that's
extra
fine
20
then.
cents.
That makes everything all right then.
Yeah.
So anyway, when I took my girlfriend down there, I'm like, we want to eat free dinners at the place. So we get in there, and I didn't know what to expect, and I'm like, this is it. And she looked at me like, yeah, everybody knows this is what it is, you know. I
Well,
was
she
like,
had an older brother who was a lot cooler than any of us could have ever hoped to have been. So I'm sure he'd taken her there.
her older brother was the center of a group of intellectual friends, and they all really admired him. He was the kind of person that would sit down and just
He was an absolute savant.
play at the piano, like make it up, you
But that
know.
wasn't all. He was funny. He could ad-lib anything. He could stand up and do performances of things that he'd seen. He was nerdy. He was classical. He was...
He gave his senior classes what do you call it? No, but you know, it's like when what do they call it? The last
Not a
the last
valedictorian.
the last will and testament of the class.
Yes,
I leave this to this person. I leave that.
Yes.
And when it was his turn or whatever he's talking about, he said, "I being me, I won't say his name, being of sound mind," and then he sort of swaggers and he goes, "Excellent body," and I found out later that they wanted to excise that part of the speech, and he did it anyway.
He was 6'7", and
Mm-hmm.
he was this big lump of a guy. And he had nerd glasses, black rim, this big mop of hair. Somehow or another managed to have a mop of hair despite the extreme hair restrictions at that fucking school. And he could wear a pair of khakis and a button-down shirt and a tie.
That was what he wore all
And
the time.
That's what he looked good in. And it was hilarious. I
He
had
had-
him in one or two classes, I think 2 classes, my freshman year. He was the senior. And I immediately knew, this guy is fucking amazing.
He had specialty shoes because his feet were so big. Anyway,
He died when he was like 26 or 27.
yeah, he was like 26 or 27 maybe. I
He
think.
died because of his growth issues, pituitary issues.
Yeah. So anyway, I dated his sister. We had this on again, off again thing. And did I tell this? Have I already told the story about her being mad at me for spending all my hard-earned money on
Yeah,
myself instead of
yeah.
going, her on dates?
When you and I met again, I said something about, are you married to or something with her? The funny thing is that between meeting you and the last time I had seen her in high school, she and I dated the same guy.
Yeah.
That guy, Andy. And he was still fucking hung up on her. He and I lived in the same apartment complex. He was a goddamn hottie. And when I found out he dated her, I was like, it must be because of her personality. Because, you know, she was short and stumpy and... But she was cute.
She was very... she was very intelligent, and she was very well read and well spoken. I tell you, one of my most
She always made a really good impression on guys. Always. And all the girls were like, yeah, she's really nice and she's really smart.
well.
But when you looked at her, you couldn't figure out what guys saw in her at first glance. But it was because the guys stuck around and they listened to her.
Well, I'll tell you one of my most vivid memories for some bizarre reason. Do you remember? I told you. I ran into Jonathan again.
Jonathan who?
Jonathan Langley, and
Another person you and I had in common. I dated him and you
Yeah.
were friends with him.
well, he gave me this homemade
Mixtape?
button. No,
Oh.
a homemade button. He had cut out a picture of Robert Plant, taped it or glued it to a piece of cardboard, and then taped that to a safety pin. He said, it's a neat way you can make a button. I've done it for years, ever since. But anyway, I was out with her, and I had lost it in the car somewhere. And I either was trying to show it to her or something. I said, like, where did it go? Where did it go? And I enlisted her help in finding it. It had gotten wedged up under the, what do you call it? The headrest thing. And she jabbed her finger into the safety pin part of it. And she just yelped.
Oh my God.
We were parked downtown, like sort of in front of Lamar Lewis, that type of thing, you know. That was a shoe store back. Independent mom and pop shoe store, the kind of thing that you don't see anymore.
I know, that's so sad.
And I got shoes there all the time when I was a kid, and I got my awards banquet shoes. That was our our version of the prom.
When's the last time you saw Jonathan?
Saw him? Was that day? Yeah. Like this was '87. Yeah, we spent sort of the afternoon together.
Similar to a time period that I saw him. He and I had gone out in high school. My best friend had set me up with him. He had gone to her school. But years later, I don't know how I ran into him, but I was in my first real apartment, not owned by my folks. And I invited him back to my place, and we sat down and talked, and he was wearing a beret. And he was telling me about how he was headed off to Japan to teach English for a year.
Well, the last time I actually talked to him, though, was about 2 years later. I had moved out, and I was living in that those apartments behind, next to Arby's or whatever,
Yeah.
McDonald's or whatever. And
University Garden.
well, back then it was College Place. It was
Oh, it
called.
was?
Yeah. But
Oh.
anyway, for some reason I got this idea. Well, I can get started with a band now, blah blah.
Oh.
So I called him up and said, "Hey, it's me. And are you still playing the guitar? Do you want to work on a band together?" He goes, "No, I'm really not interested." But he gave me this other guy's name, and that led to a whole fiasco. But anyway, that's the last time I talked to him.
Jesus. Now he's a chiropractor in Kentucky.
Yep, I did a painting with that title.
I mean, you would have thought somebody cool like him wouldn't have ended up part of this whole charlatan thing.
Yeah. I can't believe I let this stupid chiropractor charge me $25 to radiate me with x-rays for nothing. For nothing.
And he went on about some kind of God shit with you too.
Now, this is a quote from the guy. Now, God made your body, and He wants it to work right. And I'm just thinking, if your God is so wonderful and He made the body, why doesn't the body function absolutely perfectly? What's the
Damn good
deal?
question. Why are our eyes so fucked up?
Back's so fucked up.
Head yeah. Don't
I've
even get
had-
me started on childbearing hips. Oh my God.
I've had trouble with my wrists now for years. I have some wristbands I carry around just in case they go wonky.
You and I have both damaged our wrists numerous times from work.
Yeah, I am so glad I'm off. Okay, that's what we're supposed to be talking about. I forgot the whole theme of the damn show.
Well, it's vacation. We're not doing
Vacation.
anything. We're just working around the
Well,
house.
that's what I was going to say. I was going to say this is what we have planned. We have a storage shed out back that needs to be
Organized.
cleaned out and straightened up. That's one thing. The rug in my studio has got to be straightened out, and the only way to do that is pull that damn table out and then pull everything tight and put it back in. There were some other chores.
I don't know.
Oh. Well,
You already took off stuff to the dump.
that's right. Took off the old vacuum cleaner and the old microwave. And I went to the UGA library. And that was pretty fun, but I just wasn't... I thought I was going to just, roam around for like an hour, but I really just felt sated after maybe 20 minutes or so, and just... I had to get my card renewed. It's a pain in the butt.
So, Peter needs to change the air filter. I think it's part of the problem. Less coughing. And the house is drying out because the heat's now on. It's too low humidity.
Yeah.
The opposite of what the rest of the year.
But see, okay, another thing, I was gonna go to the Athens County library to pick out this book. But I had already sworn that place off, and the traffic was so heavy, I just didn't feel like doing it. So I thought, screw it, I'll just go home.
I swore it off after they had two consecutive outbreaks of bed bugs and had to close the facility down.
Well, now that I think about it, I'm glad I didn't go.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't go too.
Because
the homeless people who live there now.
Well, it's just that place.
They need to put a homeless shelter next door to it.
That
so
place has gotten so crappy.
There instead of literally stinking up the chairs. You can't sit in them anymore because they have butt funk and skid marks in the chairs.
Well, look.
It's nasty.
Here's something that really pisses me off. They used to have this area where you could drop off magazines that you didn't want, and if you wanted to go through them and take what you wanted, you could. Well, you wouldn't believe how much good stuff I got out of the stack over the years. Well, a couple of years ago, for instance, I got almost a complete set of Cricket magazines from the 70s. But anyway, they did away with it. I don't know why. I don't know. That little gift shop is never open because
the homeless people live in it.
There's a little courtyard there with like seating.
Tables and chairs.
Yeah, and they sit there all day long.
That's exactly where they should put the homeless shelter. Is right there. Because that's where everybody congregates.
What, you mean in the library?
No, right next to it. Do you know that they now have a social worker at the library? Because they have to deal with homeless people so much there. It's become a de facto.
But it's more than that. But the whole experience of going there sucks because it's on that little offshoot of basically a pretty small road itself.
And the access
when you get
horrible.
in and out, it's a pain in the ass. Sometimes you wind up just going the wrong way.
Through all the neighborhoods.
Yeah, because it's easier. Oh, Lord. I used to jump through that little gas station next door through its parking lot, but that's gotten so crowded, you'll run somebody over.
We were talking about the homeless people. A number of years ago, probably 10, 15 years ago now, there was a bridge at North Avenue under the large trestle where the homeless people slept under the bridge. And somebody wisely said, let's start a homeless shelter here. And so now they have an overnight, multiple bed, dozens of beds, shelter there. And during the day, they can come and go for meals or to pick up clothes or to do laundry or a number of things. They need something about 10 times that size over next to the library now. They've got the land. They do. They just need to deal with the drainage problems over there.
Well, tell me, How is that different, or how does it differ from um, the homeless encampment or whatever
Okay.
to what that hobo city thing that was right there next to Thor's Liquor? You know what I'm talking about? Where they removed it eventually.
Okay.
Was that just a makeshift thing,
That was a makeshift camp of people just putting in
like
tents,
squatters?
squatters. The
Okay.
person who owned the land allowed them to do it. It became known as nationally, it became known as the famous squatters camp that was not harassed until somebody proposed changing the intersection and junction there between 78 and the 10 perimeter. So they grabbed it by eminent domain and everybody was forced out. So they put them over at the old school near Chase Street chicken facilities. And they had numerous bathrooms and shower things and tent pads and tents donated for the folks. And it was working for a while until two things happened. The violence couldn't be controlled with the homeless population there, and the person who was running it apparently stole money.
Well, was this the place? Was this the
You
place?
could see it from the perimeter.
Right. Okay. It was sort of on. There was tents on a slope for some damn reason instead of a flat piece of ground.
Well, they had platforms and stuff there. Anyway, it looked like it was going to do really well until they didn't have what they needed to deal with the problem people. Because within the homeless community, you'll have people who are unmedicated and they need to definitely be medicated. Ever since the U.S. got rid of its mental institution system, and you've got a lot of things doing private, addressing things privately, you had this mass influx of homeless people across all the states. And so the homeless population grew, and the number of people that should have been in mental hospitals receiving daily medication to keep schizophrenia and other problems in check suddenly didn't have a place and no way to be regulated. So the homeless camps, like in LA, they have little sheriffs and things in different sections where they try to regulate themselves and throw people out. But it's always a problem.
Well,
By the way, I used to work at the homeless shelter when I was in college.
really, I didn't know that.
Yep,
I guess I should have.
you should have. I wasn't an overnight person like Marcus was. I was a daytime person.
Bonnie's the kind of person who does a lot of who did a lot of volunteer work, whereas I did try out for the reading recordings for the blind thing, but I didn't follow through. I never went back. Now, and I don't know why it is. Whenever I go through some sort of crossroads in life, some experience where you is a definite break from the past and you're starting over again, like there's an interim there. I consciously seek out doing new things or completely radical things that I wouldn't normally do, and that was an example. That was after I had gotten sober that first time before I met Bonnie. I was like at loose ends. So there used to be this place sort of right
near downtown Atlanta.
Well, it was sort of right on the campus, but not really. And it was a place where you went in and volunteered to read recordings for the blind, and they made tapes of books, or whatever. And I went down there. I don't know how I found out about it, but I went down there to see if I could do it. And they're telling me this and that, and I was like, I could get the feeling already that it was like a little family, like maybe 10 people, 12 people, and they all knew each other, and they'd met and became a social thing for them, because now I have more friends, because they had brownies laid out. They brought in homemade crap from home.
Last time I tried anything seriously, it was put in applications for a hospice center and doing office work there, and then doing office and intake for the nurses' clinic for the homeless.
Well, you did
and then at the same time, I was sending out resumes, and somebody called me up that I had worked with before, and he says, there's a group here that needs somebody like you to organize the offices. So it was, do I go with this or do I go with this? And I knew the flexibility with this other working group I could manage with all the kids stuff, and sure enough, I did.
Yeah, but remember also, you did all that work with the Oglethorpe Library.
Yeah, the library board. I did numerous fundraisers and did numerous publicity campaigns and
You put
PR
together a sale,
packets.
didn't you?
Did numerous things. I did numerous fundraisers for them. I did membership drives and membership parties, and then I did the educational campaign on a monthly basis for the library. Like Fridays Love Your Library Month, March's Banned Books Month, or something. So I would handle all the publicity
Hey,
and then all the displays for them.
tell the story about um, getting those curtains and then having them canceled.
It wasn't canceled. I also did grant writing and appeals to local governments for money. Like our local city more than doubled its contributions to the library after I made an appeal. And then the county upped their contributions because we are an underserved community. We're a poor county. We needed donations, and so I found some kind of money. I don't even remember where it came from at the time. And the the purpose was to reduce the heating and cooling cost of the library. So I arranged to get the solar film that would both protect the books and reduce
But
the sunlight coming in.
explain about
And then
explain about the
I
arrangement of the architecture of the building was conducive to horrible sunlight coming in.
It was almost octagon shaped, and around the majority of the top of the building, you had these huge transom windows that had no coverings over them at all. So I arranged for funding and for a local person to be paid to make custom made shades to cover these enormous transom windows at the top that just poured sunlight in and heated up the place. And the ceiling is what, 25, 30 feet high, and it was like an oven in there, and they were constantly complaining about the electrical costs because the county would pay the electrical costs.
It was the most
So,
shittily designed
it was a
building you've ever
terrible
seen.
thing. So I got all these curtains put up, and they were wonderful. They matched the decor of the place. They were up there. They were these double or triple layer. They masked everything out. The librarian that I've been working for years got a promotion and moved out, and they brought this new librarian in. And she took down the curtains, she removed the film, she did all this stuff, and boom, right back up went all the bills. And I said, fuck this. I love Jan, the librarian. I didn't love this chick. I walked out. That was it. I couldn't believe the absolute stupidity.
That you would not believe what a dump this place is. I thought about going there today because I had to go down that way to drop off that crap at the landfill. But the only reason I wanted to think about going in there because they have like every local library does. They have books for sale, and it's always neat to check out and see what they have. Because you never.
But now it's only accessible on one side of the road.
Right.
If you cross from the other side, you have to you cross a gore line and you get ticketed for it.
Well, you never. Well, amazingly, I found 3 De La Soul CDs there.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Mary, up the road from us, still hosts once a month gatherings, and she has books inside that the Friends of the Library sell up there for $1, $2, $3 each. And she also hosts a free little library, which we haven't contributed to in a while.
Yeah.
At the very least, we need to go up there and pull all the religious crap out of it.
You know, what pisses me off about that little area is those rednecks pulling up there and drinking and then throwing their bottles out the windows and smashing them on
They
the...
smashed the bottles there.
Why?
Because it's Billy Pittman and his crew. He got pissed off that when she bought the building up there, she ended up with land he thought he owned, but it was actually part of her parcel. So he started trying to sue and such. Needless to say, she won because it was her land. And he and his redneck clan now go up there, and they were stealing food off the food pantry when we had that going. Mm-hmm. They steal books. They're all the time causing problems. It's just redneck trash.
Okay, I'm going to add the word allegedly because I don't know how prevalent this might get out.
They're redneck trash. You can't deny that one.
I mean, anyway.
You know, they're the type of people that are proud rednecks. They wear t-shirts that say, proud redneck.
I don't know. I do wish we could move out of this county.
You know, I reached out to Mary post-election, and I said, with everything, you know, is there anybody left here that's willing to do anything for Trump 2.0? And she goes, I'm out. I'm so out. I am past it. Because she used to do fundraisers for the Democratic candidates every single election cycle. And after this, she's had it. I mean, she's 70-something years old, you know. So, retired Navy, retired school nurse.
You know, ever since they bumped the price of the lottery ticket up,
That's next year.
Oh, well, anyway, I haven't been buying lottery tickets.
No, it's pointless.
So, but my attitude has slowly started to change, and it's like less. I'm able to imagine a less fantastic future for myself. So, realistically speaking,
somebody has to die.
No. We're stuck in this place till we die, you know. So you basically have to sort of make the best of it. I wish you could put a fence around the whole property.
I had to wondering what's going to happen to us.
Oh, no. You know, you said a very good thing about it in response to that. You said the natural fence is slowly growing up around us.
We have a fabulous natural fence growing up around us. It's impassable. The tree guys who came out and felled that dead tree earlier this year, they spent half the time just trying to lay the lines to get it to fell downhill. They were traversing through that thicket, and it's a thicket down there. And we've got thickets on 3 sides and most of the other side.
Yeah.
I realized the other day our old driveway is completely blocked in by trees now.
Oh, yeah, I know. And
the emergency driveway we had initially is gone too.
I just don't know what to do. I don't have the energy or the enthusiasm to go next door and try to take care of the problem of that ivy growing inside there. And
burn it down.
And the place falling apart over there. I don't have the energy to deal with it. To be honest, I just don't give a fuck.
Yeah, with my heart getting worse, I don't have the energy to do much either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I finally had to tell Reed that I'm not getting the second surgery because of the price. She's like, Mom.
I should have more sympathy for you. I should have more sympathy with you.
We still haven't paid off the first fucking heart surgery.
Tell me more.
Sorry, not supposed to discuss politics.
Take off her, bro.
Careful, boy, I'm going to flash in a second.
My sister is the one who sang that to me for the first time like that. These joke lyrics. Oh, Lord. And I couldn't tell the difference because she was current with that shit. I didn't know any of that crap. When I was in 3rd grade in a 3-story house down there, I had a little record player in my room. And I had this 3 LP box thing. Reader's Digest, Sentimental Journey, easy listening instrumentals. And
Fucking loser.
I loved this record.
Fucking loser.
It was Sentimental Journey, and
Your benighted cultural existence. My God, man.
oh, you would not believe. That's why sixth grade, like I was saying, we didn't have any, much music in the house except, maybe 13 Christmas LPs.
Oh my God, we had so much music in the house.
So one day I was,
from Europe. My dad had a reel-to-reel thing that we had to accommodate.
well, so in sixth grade, I came down to my grandmother's place and ransacked all these LPs that my uncle had left there. And it was like Tchaikovsky and Brahms and Prokofiev and all this stuff. And I thought, well, I'm going to give this a shot. So I, take it back to my room, and that's where my love of that kind of music started. It was in sixth grade. It's laying on the floor, listening to my favorite. I wish I could think of the goddamn composer's name. I mean the conductor's name, because it was the best recording of it ever. Tchaikovsky's Fourth.
Ostrach.
He was a violinist.
Was it?
Yeah. David Oistrakh.
Why am I remembering this so wrongly?
I don't know. That was a really good LP. It was Prokofiev on one side, Mendelssohn on the other.
Well, it beats the other things we found of your uncle's.
Yes. When we took absolute possession of this property,
That included your uncle's shed.
we decided to appropriate my uncle's left behind storage shed and the contents therein. And we're cleaning it out so we can put our shit in. And I'm making a giant pile of all this absolute detritus of a person's wasted efforts. And it was like...
Get rich schemes.
yeah, well, it was like 12 cassettes, plus a company workbook for Andrew Carnegie's Secrets to Success and Financial...
all kinds of things. Better self-betterment.
But what? Well, before I get to the thing Bonnie wants to talk about the most, there was also this plaster dog sculpture, like with shiny laminate on it, And I just looked at it and thought, this just symbolizes all this. Now, we also found because my uncle was an alcoholic and had erectile dysfunction. 3 different penis pumps with literature and carrying cases.
More than we ever needed to know about your slimy Uncle Morris.
I'll tell you something I found. I don't know what happened to it. It was his, basically part of his discharge papers from the Army. And it said basically...
alcoholism.
He has cirrhosis of the liver, and we're basically telling him, you've got to get the fuck out. That's it. And I wish I knew what happened to that paperwork. But when he got out of the Army, he was only like 48 or 49, something like that.
He did his full 20 or 25, whatever he was eligible for full.
He ran away from home when he was like 15 and joined the Army, and he was in boot camp for weeks and weeks before they figured out he was too young, and they kicked him out. And as soon as he got old enough to go in, he left again. And my mother told me it was because he couldn't stand my grandfather beating him.
No surprise there.
And I just can't imagine him. He never was violent with me, and I never saw him do anything violent.
You never saw Phil violent either.
I can imagine it, though.
Yeah, he was a real bastard, my stepfather.
But my uncle had these 2 boys who were a couple of years older than I am. And when my grandparents lived in Monroe, in this horrible unheated house, they visited, and that's like the first time I ever met them, I think. And what? Looking at the time.
I'm gonna slip out.
All right, you want to pause it?
No, keep on.
So they had like long hair, relatively speaking, and I just thought they were just terrifying. They were taller than me, and they were aggressive and mean, and you know, oh God. And remember telling them both I was confused by their long hair. Were they actually girls? Because I just couldn't imagine a boy having long hair. Oh, I may have to go to the bathroom too. Ugh. Hold on, I'm gonna pause recording. I had to get a jacket on. So,
Did I hear correctly? It was your uncle's kids, sons that were crazy,
they weren't crazy. They were just
boisterous.
boisterous, yeah, and aggressive and bullying and
Is this one of the guys that Catherine's now friends with?
um
Yeah, your sister sought these people out.
maybe so. No, the one of them, I think it was Brian. I think I better not say any names, but anyway,
One of them killed himself.
he had so many fucking problems. And when I was about, I don't know, maybe 17 or so, he came to live with my uncle, and he was just aggressive and I guess he was also an alcoholic and a pill popper or whatever. I don't know, but he wound up getting my old '78 Toyota, which I had gotten from my dad, which he bought brand new to fight the,
Gas
the oil embargo or whatever. Yeah. So anyway, and they found him in the woods. He had killed himself up in like Tennessee or something, or I don't know where it was.
Yeah, you remember a couple of years ago, your sister had submitted her DNA to some sort of genealogy site that hooked you up with people, and she and your mother got contacted by this person, ended up being illegitimate child of one of your uncles.
The my uncle. It turns out, over the years, they found out my uncle fathered two illegitimate sons. I don't know if they were by the same woman or not. I kind of got the impression that they were by different women. And my sister got in touch with both of them. And I guess it was before you and I were married. I went over to my uncle was living over sort of near Winterville in this little shitty trailer, and I went over there with the tape recorder, and I recorded maybe 45 minutes of interview with him, and I keep finding and losing that cassette. What I'm supposed to do is get somebody to transfer that recording to CD.
That guy died. The guy that does transfers. Remember?
Yeah, I know. But somebody else has got to have one of those machines or the ability to do it. And then I have a digital copy because my uncle's other son, the brother of the one that killed himself, he wanted, or my mother wanted to send him a copy of this recording. Anyway, I don't know. I'll find it again one day, or after I'm dead, somebody will find it. I don't know about you. I'm gonna make a confession here. But a lot of the stuff, well, like say for instance, my diary, my studio journal, all the records that I keep, all the sketches and stuff I keep. I keep all this stuff sort of consciously thinking, well, after I'm dead, people will go through this and they'll.
A la the Collier brothers?
No. They'll go through it and analyze it. Oh, this is when he, made the decision
Who's
to.
the guy that did the little girl fighting, girls fighting, that big long.
Oh, Henry Darker.
Yeah, there we go. That's another one.
Yeah, what an amazing life. What an amazing
Bizarre.
amount of work. And, I kind of feel like that because I got all this crap here that nobody's ever seen and nobody will see unless somebody.
Digitizes it.
Well, no, I'm just like serendipitously meets you. What did your late husband do? Oh, he did.
Well, don't worry. Under Trump 2.0, things are going to get so bad we'll have some use for it after all. We'll be burning it for warmth.
Mm-hmm.
Making our own toilet paper.
Oh, Lord. That's why, about a year ago, I guess it was, I discovered that Erica John quote, do what you do for the love of doing it, not for the money. And all these rich people will envy you and
No, I doubt
not,
that last part's true, but yeah, do it because you like it.
something about, I wish I could have the quote with me, but. Like I said a while back, I got this question on one of the videos, and it said no. The question was like no video portion, just audio. And I tried to explain, I don't have the equipment for it right now, but now that I think about it, even if I did have access to that kind of equipment, I like the sort of radio feel where it's just our voices and that's it. What do you say?
I'm not going on camera anywhere. I literally pulled all of my photographs offline this past year with the AI stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The way that people are manipulating images and creating pornography or fake videos and stuff, I've just removed all images myself.
Yeah, that's a good point.
My friend Doug and I went through a checklist for me about a month or two ago. Well, right after the election. A checklist on what I can do, and he's already got me set up with a hacktivist group, and so we're trying to reduce online presence and online risk at this point. So.
Well, I guess we've played ourselves out here.
I think so.
A little early.
I'm tired. No, it's got to be more than an hour.
No, it's not. It's 22. Oh, I'm sorry. What does it say? An hour and 27?
Yeah, that sounds more like.
Oh my God! I've been looking at it wrong the whole time. I thought, what is that? It? Oh wow. Okay. So.
Yeah. Bye. Goodbye. Say goodbye, Lance. Jesus.
Goodbye, Lance. Jesus.